The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
It's the Gopher podcast with Mike Grimm, episode 41. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and welcome back to the podcast. The Golden Gopher football team continues Big Ten play with a game at 16th-ranked Penn State in the Nittany Lions annual whiteout game this Saturday night. We'll preview that, we'll look back at last week, and get to know star senior safety Tyler Nubin just a little bit better. He's one of my favorites, and I'm thrilled he's my opening guest here on this week's podcast. I know you're going to love his story and what he has to say. From football, we'll then shift gears to hockey today. The Gopher women's hockey team is off to a fast start, unbeaten, and ranked number 2 in the country. We'll be joined by 4-time national championship winning head coach Brad Frost, another one of our favorites. We'll get an early season look at the women on ice. Our Gopher podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. You can get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. Our thanks to Brian Slipka and all of that group as they are supporting Gopher Athletics. The Gopher podcast with Mike Grimm is also partnered with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. Like the Gophers, Affinity Plus is fundamentally sound with preparation, focus, and follow-through. And we're so glad to be affiliated with Affinity Plus. It's a local Minnesota credit union providing all of your banking needs, including a top-ranked mobile app. And talk about community involvement, they've got that as well with Special Olympics Minnesota, as well as supporting Gopher Athletics. They sponsor our player profile segment within our podcast, and of course, that's coming up as we feature Tyler Nubin. Our podcast is also sponsored by State Farm agent Tony Hoagland at ChamplinInsurance.com. I invite you to subscribe to the podcast. It's free to click the subscribe button. You can listen at any time for free. You can go back and listen to our previous podcast as well. We had Tanner Morgan, the Gopher quarterback, on our show last week. This week, we're talking Gopher football once again. It's the Gopher podcast, episode number 41. Our guest this week, Gopher safety Tyler Nubin. Here's our conversation. Tyler Nubin, Golden Gopher safety, joins us here. It's episode 41 of the Gopher podcast. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too, Mike.
So you had double-digit tackles in that game at Illinois. We were just joking a little, but certainly serious about it too. How sore are you when you're out there for 80-plus plays and you're making all these tackles and also collisions that aren't tackles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, every Big Ten game, man, it's physical. So, you know, you're going to feel it after every single game, but especially after a game like that, definitely feeling it.
What do you think was the situation there? You put them in some spots to get off the field, a couple of fourth downs, a couple of second and 20s, and then they just were able to keep possession of the ball. Kind of, as you know, almost gave you guys a taste of your own medicine with the Gophers, how they want to win the game. Which, I guess, in one sense, now you know what it feels like in a little bit. You don't want to have that feeling again, I suppose. Yeah. But what do you think? Were you able to put your finger on what they were able to do to stay on the field? Because you guys have been so good defensively for a number of years in those situations.
Yeah, I think it was just execution. You know, they weren't really doing any special plays or anything like that. They were just really executing their plays exactly the way they were supposed to, and we weren't executing the way that we should have on defense. So they went 4 for 4 on fourth down. So you got to tip your hat off to them, their coach, for trusting them to go on fourth down. But in those situations we got to execute, and we didn't.
You guys were doing the job on third down and first down in terms of putting them into situations. I think I saw the analytics. Second down wasn't as good, and then fourth down, like you say, it happens 4 for 4. But people sometimes, we always look at the stats, and the stats always say third down efficiency and fourth down efficiency. But second down's pretty important too, right?
Yeah, very true, man. It's as important as any down, honestly. Getting them behind the sticks, making them have to go, third and long instead of third and short. Second down's one of those hidden things that people don't really pay attention to that, you got to be good on, because that could determine whether they're going to go for it on fourth down or not. If they have a third and long and they don't get it, they're not going to go on fourth down. You know what I mean? So we got to be better at putting teams in situations where, we can kind of control what they're going to do.
What, now you're one of the senior leaders on this team, so what do you do to try to make sure that people aren't losing track of the stuff that's still there to be accomplished?
Obviously, we can accomplish anything we want to. We still got 6-7 games left, and I think everybody knows that. I don't think that that's something that, I have to really, tell people. But something that I try to do is just, make sure that people have the attention to recommit themselves to really be the best they can every single day, because, every day counts, every practice counts, every, hour you watch film counts. So I really just want, to emphasize maximizing the time that we do have together.
What, from that mentality too, I think players and coaches, probably because you're right back at it Sunday, right? That fans kind of, they obviously fans have their own idea and they don't always know what's happening within the locker room. So they might have an impression of, oh man, 2 losses in a row, this thing might be spiraling. But players get right back to work. I mean, and I'm not saying players take the losses better, because I know you guys sting when you lose, but the fact that you get to go right back to work might make it like you put those leather vests on, as PJ says. Yep. And as we talk here, recording this podcast on Tuesday, it's fresh life again, right?
Right. Yeah. Honestly, and that's after a win or a loss. So, having that next opportunity is always awesome. You always, learn from what you did the last game, and then you flush it, and then take that into account the next game. So, just having that next opportunity really, just helps you, focus on, the next thing that you have to do and not dwell in the past. We learn from our past. We don't dwell in it. So, just obviously, that next game helps.
You guys have been so good on defense here for a number of years now. You're a third-year starter, 4-year contributor. How much fun is it to play in this defense with people around you that you've kind of developed with?
It's awesome, man. It's super fun. Seeing guys like Flip coming into his own now, seeing guys like Braylon, Mariano, Jalen Logan Redding, me and Trill, who came in the same class. It's just awesome to see guys like that having all the work that, they put in pay off, because, fans don't see that. People on the outside don't really see that. But when you're working with these guys for 4 years, you see, all the work, the dedication they put in. It's just awesome to see it pay off.
And your partner in crime back there in the middle, Jordan Howden, you guys have gotten to be pretty close. I notice in practice you have a handshake that includes a jump, and I suppose you do that pregame too. Take me through the origin of that, and how tight are you guys? How close are you as not just players, but maybe buddies too? Yeah,
for sure, man. Me and Jay have definitely grown a lot closer this year. We live together now, me, my brother Jordan, and Don. So, we've grown super close. That handshake's something we've been doing since my sophomore year, his junior year. So, honestly, we've been close since we've got here, but since playing together for 3 years, definitely gotten a lot closer.
And you guys know assignments and what each are supposed to do. How much more comfortable too? Is it almost like you don't even have to say anything now because you guys know where each other's going to be and what the assignment is?
Yeah, and that's what makes playing out there with him so much easier. We're always on the same page. I can just give him a little hand signal. He knows exactly what it means. I don't even have to scream at him. So it's awesome, man. Just having a guy like that, that you trust. I trust him. He trust me, so it just makes the game a lot easier.
When you guys, how much do you pay attention to just stats? Like you guys for a minute were, a minute I say that, it was like 3-4 weeks were number one total defense. Last 2 weeks maybe a couple of different things haven't allowed that to be as good. But do you pay attention to that and take pride in it, or is it something like we don't care, we're just going out to play, like for example Penn State this week?
We take pride in doing what we do at a high level. So, the stats are going to come with it. So, every day that we come in on a Sunday after a game, we take pride in how we played and how hard we played and, how we executed our game plan. We're not really worried about stats because, like I said, if you play good defense, that comes with it. So we have a certain standard of how we play defense here and, the things that you have to do on the field. So I think we really draw our pride from that. At least I do, and, a lot of the guys on the defense do. So that's really where we draw our pride from.
So it's Penn State this weekend. I know that as mentioned, we're talking here as it's Tuesday. There'll certainly be more that you guys will study and game plan implementation and so forth. And obviously, you're not going to give away the whole game plan. But what do you see from Penn State, and what are some things that that defensively you guys will have to accomplish execution wise this week?
Yeah, they're really athletic. They got a lot of firepower on that offense. They're very multiple with their formation. A lot of different route concepts that we haven't seen yet this year. So, that it's going to be a challenge. But, like I said, last week, we love challenges. We're up for a challenge. So it's going to be fun defending that.
You, growing up, I assume at some point watched a Penn State game where they had the whiteout, whether it's against Michigan or Ohio State or what have you. Is that right? I'm assuming you've seen one.
Yes.
So what do you think about being part of one now?
It's awesome, man. And it's honestly, admittedly some, a childhood dream that I had, playing college football, playing in that whiteout, either, for Penn State or against Penn State. But, that's always been, a dream to, play in that. So it's going to be awesome to be in that game.
How do you go into it? You guys have been around the block. You've played against good teams. You think about some of the teams you've played. You've played in Ohio State. You've played in Auburn, beaten in Auburn, and others. But the whiteout is a new deal. How do you go in and make sure you're not either one caught up in it, or I'm sure there's teams that go in there that might even be intimidated a bit by it. That's an imposing look.
Right. How
do you make sure that that's not a factor, so to speak?
Just being locked in and focused on the game plan. It's just another game. It would be the same thing if they had to come play here. It's just, at least 60,000 more people than we got. So fans are fans. It's going to be a cool experience. But being locked in and focused on the details and what you have to do, that's how you block that out. Because at the end of the day, you got to play football. You
guys have been a good road team, too, over the years. What do you think's been the key to being good on the road?
Just preparing for it, things that we do in practice, we know it's going to be loud, things on the road. So, we got, the fan, sounds blaring in the indoor. Yeah. You really, honestly, can't even hear. So it's probably going to be, about as loud as that, probably a little bit louder, but it prepares you, man. Just preparing for what you're about to get into and just knowing how focused and locked in you have to be as a defense and as a player, that really helps.
And I suppose embracing the thought, too, right, of, hey, let's go silence 100,000 folks.
Right, yeah. That's always fun. That was our mentality going into Michigan State, just have them leave by the fourth quarter. So let's have 100,000 people leave by the fourth quarter now.
You guys, I noticed last week, and it's always this way if it's a Northwestern game for sure and an Illinois game where you go back to your home area to play. Yeah. I see your mom and dad in the lobby of the hotel on occasion, and they go to most of the games, right? They get to a 2-for-1 because they get to see your brother and watch him and spend time with him as well. What's that like to be able to have supportive parents like that coming? Obviously, you wanted the outcome to be different last week, but I think you told me you were trying to grab up 30 tickets for everybody, right?
Almost that, yeah. It got up there. But it's awesome, man, just having them as a support system. Obviously having my brother here, I get to see him every weekend, so that's awesome. It's a blessing because, I know not everybody gets to have that opportunity to see their parents, every single weekend. So that's just awesome, man.
They'll be there this weekend?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
When did you realize at how old were you that, hey, this football thing, one, I'm pretty good at it, two, I might be able to play at a high level college and eventually hopefully NFL football?
I think I always had the dream to do that, and I always thought that I could definitely accomplish that, even as a little kid. But it didn't really start, coming to reality until, high school, until, I had the opportunity to sit down with my high school coach, Rob Pomazak, and he kind of walked me through, I have the opportunity to really do this, and, it's up to me whether I want to do it or not. So he kind of, laid down a blueprint, I just kind of did my thing. So honestly, that's really kind of when I started to realize it.
Walk me through then, once it became apparent, like I'm getting schools interested in me, kind of that process, and then how you ended up choosing Minnesota.
It really started slow, because, I came from school, St. Charles North, that, wasn't really known for, having football players. You didn't really have a lot of guys that got recruited from my school. So it was hard at first because, I wasn't really getting the offers that I wanted, but going to camps and stuff like that, taking visits, it was a long process, but eventually my junior year I started to get, offers, Big Ten offers. Minnesota was actually one of the first Big Ten offers. They were actually the second one. But, they were just really, Coach Fleck was always, in my ear. He was always, connecting with me, like keeping up with me, like asking how I'm doing, things like that. And, that's something that I really appreciated that I didn't really get at a lot of other schools. So, I think that connection really was built really early. And, that's what really made my decision easy as I got through the process.
It's fun because I'll have an occasional conversation, not a lot, but an occasional conversation with PJ, and certainly on signing day.
Yeah.
And, he says stuff, and he's going to love every recruit, right? But you can tell he's got a couple guys that are, this guy's going to be a stud. And I remember he was like, Nubin's going to be a stud. Like this guy, this is going to be one of the guys that's going to be a long-term deal here that's going to have an impact. And I'm sure he tells a lot of guys that. But with that comes some pressure. So I remember you came in as a freshman. You were playing a lot of special teams. You got in on some plays, but I guess Antoine was here, right? So it's not like you're going to beat Antoine out as a freshman.
Definitely not. Wasn't doing anything.
You're probably going to learn from him what you can, and then you start in year two. So take me through the process of, you're being told you're going to have an impact. You're a really good high school player with multiple offers, and then you come in and it's like, you're going to cover kicks and punts and do a few things. How hard was that to adjust to, okay, I know I got to bide my time and wait it out. Right. Eventually it's going to happen. Was it hard, or did you understand the situation?
Yeah, it's always hard, coming from, being the guy to, coming on a team where you got to be a role player. But, that's something I really understood that would help me in the future because, obviously if these coaches get paid a lot of money to, coach football and put guys out there. So, if they're telling me I'm not ready to play, I'm not ready to play. So I was just really excited to help wherever I can. They trusted me playing special teams, played all 4 special teams, quad team member. Honestly, I took a lot of pride in what they trusted me to do. And, I wanted to be the best at what they trusted me to do. So that's something that I really took pride in and, really focused on. So I wasn't worried about, how many stats I had my freshman year because I knew it was going to come eventually. But that's what they trusted me to do at the time. So that's what I took my pride in.
I think back, too, I remember every time there was a kick or a punt, I'm calling your name on a tackle. So I could tell you were taking pride. And I remember even saying a few times on the radio, like, that's a kid that coaches, he's going to be in next year in an every down situation. And certainly you were. Yeah. And look, if Antoine's not there, you're probably starting as a true freshman, right? At the end of the day. So what did you learn from Antoine Winfield? What kind of things do you take from a guy like that?
Just how to, carry yourself like a pro and, prepare like a pro, take care of your body like a pro, just do everything at a professional level because, that's where he was headed and, that's where, I want to go. So I learned a lot of things about, watching film, doing things like that and, how to practice, practicing playing hard every single down. So, I learned a lot of things from him that, I carry into my game today.
And then the next year was one of those weird years. One, it was the COVID year, right? So that's your first year of starting, but you don't get to hang out with the coaching staff much in the off season, and it all kind of is a weird year, even from the very start. No spring ball. Yeah. How hard was that then to not have those reps to become a full-time starter and then just try to have to, I don't want to say take your lumps, but learn it on the fly, I guess is the better way to put it, as opposed to like no spring where, hey, you're the guy, start next to Jordan and here's how it goes. And all of a sudden Michigan's here and you're throwing out there, you know?
Yeah, almost. It was a tough year for me, man. Just like you said, taking my lumps, learning on the fly, because, I did have to learn a lot of the things on the fly just because, we didn't have the time or, the ability to even, practice the things that, you would see, in a game. I didn't get to, go against the speed of the offense, because we were split up at that time for COVID, barely had meetings, could barely practice, no fall camp, anything like that. So, I was kind of thrown in the fire a little bit there, but I wouldn't do it any different, because it taught me a lot, and I think it made me a lot better player today. Learning on the fly and learning in those games, making mistakes that I don't make anymore today.
I was wondering, sometimes you have to take some battle wounds to eventually get to where you want, a scar or two along the way.
Yeah.
And now it almost, I suppose, and they're figurative scars. I suppose you have some actual scars too from his, but it's you look at maybe those with some pride, knowing that, hey, I mean, nothing comes easy, and you worked hard to get now to where you're at.
Right. Yeah. Of course, man. I mean, Coach Rossi says it all the time. He used to say it about me too. Told me, am I an elite player yet? No, but if I work the way that I work, have a great process and learn from mistakes, I will be a great player one day. So I mean, I think, like I said, man, I wouldn't do it any different. I wouldn't, have the situation be any different, because I learned so much from that year. It's made me into the player I am.
You get through that 2020 year, and then you do get a spring ball, which certainly I would think helps, and you do get a fall camp and off-season workouts, and you're around the coaches. And to me, now you tell me if I'm wrong, and I think you and I have talked about this off the air, so to speak, you just carried yourself differently. I mean, just aside from the play, like the results were different too, but just like you're walking into a huddle or walking out of the tunnel or leaving practice, you just had this aura about you, like, okay, I get it now. Like the comfort level, maybe, is the way I would put it. Is that true, do you think?
Yeah, 100%, man. Comfort and confidence, and that comes from, doing the things that I did, the preparation that I put in, the time that I had with my coaches, spring ball, fall camp, and also having 2020, because, I knew that, 2020, I didn't know anything, and I kind of, thought I held my own a little bit, made mistakes, here and there, but, I just had a certain level of confidence that, I could do this, that I was where I was supposed to be, and, I knew exactly what I had to do.
Yeah, and so you have that great year, and now you're obviously having another great year here. Your brother in that mix also shows up on campus, and how did that help? Did that change, just to have some, a guy that you love and want to hang out with here? How much did that help?
Definitely, it helped a lot, man. It was kind of like high school, because we played together in high school too. But just having them to take him under my wing, be able to show him things that I wish I knew as a freshman, kind of helped me focus on myself too, and make sure I'm right for him all the time. Make sure I'm where I'm supposed to be, doing the things I'm supposed to do. Just being that example. So that really helped me have my head on even straighter, and focus on the things I had to focus on.
And kind of overseeing him, did that give you a sense of even more leadership? I mean, just in your own little cocoon, but also just as a general outlook, team-wise too?
Yeah, it gave me, a little more confidence to be able to lead, and, be able to lead by example for other people too, not just my brother. So, it kind of spread throughout the whole team.
He gets here and he starts on the scout team defensively, right, when he first got here. Yep. And I'm watching, and he doesn't have the height that you have, but he's got a pretty good physique and he can run.
Yep.
And so I'm like, who is that guy? And I'm looking at that's him. All right. And then the running back situation goes haywire last year, and they're like, this kid can run. So now he's a running back, right? So now you get to go against him a little bit with scout team and that kind of stuff. But what's it like looking across the field now, seeing him on the offense?
It's a little weird, man, but it's awesome, man. He's doing this thing. Definitely got to tell him what's up when we see each other in the hole. Definitely every single time. But honestly, it's awesome to see him doing this thing. He's really coming into his own.
Now, he's gotten some carries this year, those early games especially. He got an opportunity. Were you able to watch, or were you having to sit on the bench and take part in those defensive meetings that happen in game?
No. At that moment, I think I was done playing at that time. So I got to watch and see him run the ball, and that was awesome. That was great. I could hear my mom screaming in the stands. Yeah, it was awesome. It was great.
There's nothing much like, you got a little brother. I have a little brother too. Are you the oldest?
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
Yeah, just you two.
Just me.
Same with me. And so my brother, I would pick on him until he got now, unlike you, he got bigger than me, so I knew when to back off. And we're still close to this day, right? Where I'm 51, so that's cool. We talk, at least weekly, but usually several times a week. And he ended up like you. He's 2 years younger than me. Came to the same college and got to hang out a little bit. Now, we weren't high level athletes like you guys were, but there is something about it to that relationship and to take pride. Now, my brother's gone on to be really successful in the business world, and I just always am like, man, that's cool. He's doing so great, and I'm sure that to watch your brother get some carries and whatever else, you just beam with pride as much as anything else you probably watch. Right?
I love it, man. Just seeing him do his thing, because I remember when I was in that position, coming up, playing special teams, like I said, it's just awesome to see that, man.
Yeah, and where do you see now you going? You're in a fourth year, and I'm not asking, hey, just determine what you're doing here, but long term, you want to be in the NFL, right? Mm-hmm. Do you get to chat with anybody to tell you, hey, this is yet, or is that to come maybe after this year or at some other point? To whether it's someone that knows, even like a Marcus here locally, right? He talks to the NFL people quite a bit on staff here. Like, here's what they say about you. You hearing any of that yet?
I don't want to hear any of that yet, honestly. I know it's out there, obviously, but I'm really just focusing on this season and, winning our 1 week championship seasons every single week. Because, without me playing, without, playing great, playing consistent, none of that happens anyway. So, I might as well focus on, be at where my feet are at, and just focus on what I'm doing every single day, and not, I'll make the decision down the road.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen before, not here maybe, but at other places where all of a sudden that talk starts and a guy starts looking ahead and the play declines because you can't play in the Big Ten at a high level if you're not dialed in week to week, right?
Exactly. And like I said, none of that happens unless you take care of, what's going on the field. So, worrying about, the future, where I'm headed is pointless, because I can't get there without doing the things that I'm doing every single day. And I have to be consistent. I have to keep doing what I'm doing. So I might as well just keep focusing on that.
Yeah. And now the task at hand is we've talked about this whiteout game and this Penn State game. It becomes kind of a pivotal game as we get into the mid to late portion of October, because all of a sudden you win this weekend and, the sky's the limit as you look down. You snap this little slide that you're on. I know PJ today, I was on the radio with him with his coach's show, and I called it a little streak, and he's like, we don't talk about streaks. It's one game at a time. And I'm like, I get it. But, each week becomes bigger. With each week of success, right?
Yeah, honestly, each week gets bigger as the season goes on. Every single game is the most important game because it's the next one. So, whether we win or lose, this is going to be a big game anyway. So, I don't think we look at it like, we've, had a streak, we had a losing streak, we got to win this, we were going to have to win this anyway because it's a one-game championship season. So we're going to keep thinking it as that.
Yeah, and with the whole, there's a lot of football left, right?
Yes, exactly.
There's nothing over yet.
Right, yeah.
And I know the players would think that. The fans sometimes get into this this mindset like, oh, man, it's spiraling out of control. But if you could watch practice, and I know players certainly, it's just the process, right? Each week is a process, and off you go to try to, get one this week.
Right.
Yeah. Man, it's going to be fun. It's really been fun watching. You've been one of my favorite guys to watch develop because we could see that skill. Boom, boom. It's just been so fun to watch you develop into this just ball hawking team leader. Tough. Hard-nosed, smart. It's been fun,
Appreciate
man.
that, man.
Yeah. I do want to thank our sponsor. We got Mr. Nubin here, a $100 prepaid Visa gift card. That's courtesy of our sponsor, the podcast Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. Proud to support Golden Gopher student athletes. And you mentioned that's gas money now for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
gas
going
money.
all in the tank.
We appreciate Affinity Plus for helping out with the Gopher football team as well. And Tyler's been awesome, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike.
That's Gopher senior safety Tyler Nubin on the Go Gopher podcast, episode number 41. I hope you enjoyed listening to that conversation as much as I did being a part of it. Our thanks to Tyler, who's a very impressive young man, as you can tell, and our thanks to Affinity Plus for sponsoring our Gopher player profile on the Go Gopher podcast. We will next talk Gopher women's hockey with Gopher head coach Brad Frost, but first, a word from Tony.
Hey, Gopher fans, this is your State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland. We are super excited to be part of the new Mike Grimm Show on Talk North. For the year of 2022, we will be donating $10 to the University of Minnesota Children's Masonics Hospital for everyone that calls our office or checks in with us online and mentions that they heard about us on Talk North and the Mike Grimm Show. We are really excited again that Mike came on board with Talk North. You can reach us at 763-421-4900. You can find us on the web at champlaininsurance.com. Again, 763-421-4900, or find us on the web at champlaininsurance.com. Roll the boat, Sky Yuma, go Gophers.
It's episode 41 of the Go Gopher podcast, and we're thrilled to be talking women's hockey here. The hockey season underway now. Gopher women are undefeated through a couple of weekends, ranked second in the country, and the four-time national championship winning head coach is Brad Frost. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Mike.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, that's you've had 41 episodes, and here I am, so I know where I rank on the list.
Well, we've had a few guys come on more than once, and I do feel bad that we didn't have you on last spring. We certainly should have, or as the season was winding in. So this is the first of many, let's say.
Let's say that.
Let's do that. All right. You're off to a good start. You got to feel good about scoring a bunch of goals and stopping a bunch of pucks. And here you are at 4-0, right? Through 2 weekends?
Yeah, 4-0, and it's been pretty impressive. In particular, last weekend we scored 20 goals for the first time in a weekend since 1999. Yeah. I think one of the crazier stats that I was looking at is our top 12 forwards, so our top four lines. Every player on one of those four lines has a goal. So 12 forwards with at least one goal, 4 games in, that usually doesn't happen throughout a whole year, and let alone having it happen through 4 games is pretty crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously you have Taylor Heisey, who's back. I think she's getting a lot of the headlines just simply because she was the Patty Kazmaier Award winner. What's it mean to have her back, and how has she kind of helped spark that offense?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Taylor getting left off that Olympic team last year, she learned a lot. It provided a lot of motivation for her, and she just kind of grinded through, and last year was the best player in women's college hockey. And so to have her along with 8 or 9 other fifth-year seniors back, 2 Olympians back, and Grace Zumwinkle and Abby Murphy. We're a very veteran-laden team, and we have more depth than we've ever had. And so Taylor obviously is a huge part of that. Hasn't been putting up the goals yet, but we haven't needed her to, and she's certainly creating a lot as we go. So we're not too worried about her.
Well, and I did see, I think there was one highlight where she basically skated, it was like the Harlem Globetrotters. She skated all over the place and got an open shot. So I know she has at least one.
She has one, and that was it. Yeah. But yeah, just... I mean, that goal, I said to our director of ops, Jess Scott, I said, if Taylor's in the mix for the Kazmaier, let's make sure we keep that highlight and put that on the video.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. If people haven't seen it, I saw it on Twitter. Of course, on the weekends, I'm a little busy myself, but I always do try to get updated, and that one popped on my timeline, and I'm like, holy cow, that was quite a skate. It was like a punt returner going all over the place to get a touchdown. Yeah. She was weaving in and out, and to keep the puck and control it through all that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, she's a special player, there's no doubt.
And you mentioned the 2 Olympians back. 12 players have scored. I mean, and as PJ Fleck says, comparisons can steal your joy, but how depth-wise, I mean, does this compare to some of those teams that you've had that have been, obviously all your teams have been pretty good, but where does the depth kind of rank, would you say, here with how many good players you have?
Yeah, this is probably the deepest we've ever been. With the opportunity for a 5th year because of COVID, again, the Olympians coming back, I think, for us, we're extremely talented up and down our lineup. But so are other teams. So Wisconsin's loaded, Ohio State's loaded, Duluth. Just in our conference, us 4 teams are all ranked in the top 5. Yeah. It's similar to Big Ten volleyball a little bit. It seems like every weekend you're playing against another top team, and that's fun. It's what makes things enjoyable. But we're very, very deep. We haven't been able to really roll 4 lines in a long, long time. And on the men's side, generally teams will play 4 lines. On the women's side, you generally play 3 lines. And so for us to have a 4th line that can play and put the puck in the net as well is pretty neat.
As you look at it, obviously, this is a program with high standards. As we mentioned, you've won 4 national titles. You've been in maybe, twice that many Frozen Fours and all of that. Take me through your process of setting goals and what the expectation level is and how you handle that internally with the team.
Sure. I mean, the expectations and goals are the same every year. And from a non-ice standpoint, that's to try and win the regular season championship, which we did last year, win the tournament championship and get to the Frozen Four and give ourselves an opportunity to win the big one. Obviously, a lot of things need to happen in order for that to take place. And we've experienced the highs and the lows of making it and winning it and getting there and losing. And so you need some breaks, you need some luck, you need health, you need all these different things. And I think what people don't necessarily realize is how hard it is to win. I mean, we won 4 in 5 years, and I think people thought that was easy, and I can promise you it's not. And there's great coaches, great teams throughout the country. The other expectations is for our players, we let them know, hey, we love you guys unconditionally, but the expectations are that you embody and fulfill our values every day. And that's success for us. We want our players to be tough, grateful, disciplined, and devoted. And if they can do those things on the ice, off the ice, they're going to be successful, not only in hockey, but in life, more importantly. And so for us, that's where we look at in regards to finding our identity and who we want to be.
And you mentioned from the time I was looking up this morning, it doesn't seem that long ago. You had the undefeated team. That was like 9 years ago now, right? It seems like it wasn't that long ago. So and in a decade of girls hockey especially has changed everything. I mean, there's just more good players, right?
Oh, very much so.
I mean, and you're just and I'll ask you this way, and you can, because I don't know what the exact numbers are. Maybe back 10, 15 years ago, you're recruiting the state and you could say, I'm going to throw an arbitrary number. There's 15 WCHA quality players. Let's go have our pick. My hunch is that from 10 years ago till now, there's 50 instead of 15? I don't know. Those are just dumb numbers I threw out. You would probably have a better idea.
No, right now there's about 40 girls, 35 to 40 young women that just from the state of Minnesota that are playing each year in Division I hockey, which is an incredible amount and very exciting. The talent has just continued to grow. We've never necessarily been able to say, hey, let's just have our pick.
Yeah.
We are very fortunate to be at the University of Minnesota and to be the big D1 school in the state, and obviously have had a lot of success. So a lot of young girls grow up coming to our games, coming to our camps, and they want to be a Golden Gopher one day, and that's one thing that we want to make sure we continue to have. I think it's really special to have 65-70% of our players from Minnesota and allowing them to try and fulfill their dream to become a Gopher and win a national championship. So it's really neat.
Yeah, and with hockey, it's, as you mentioned, you got to have a little luck. I think people, like you say, it's hard to do it. I remember talking last year to Bob Motzko. He's like, it's a 16-team men's tournament. You could play that 12 times and might have 9 different champions, right? And I think it's that way now closer to the women, right? Like last year, you guys get upset, but if they played that all over again the next weekend, you might be hanging a banner, or you might be cutting down the net, right?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, we got upset by Duluth, who then went, and when I say upset, they were the number 7 team in the country.
Yeah.
And they went on to then beat Northeastern, who was number 3 in the country, and gave Ohio State, the number 1 team in the country, everything they could handle before Ohio State ended up winning it. So, when you get into those one and done scenarios, anything can happen. It's not just the most talented team. It's oftentimes who gets the best goaltending,
right.
Who hits the post and it stays out, and who hits the post and it goes in. So there's just those little tiny details that sometimes you have control over and other times you don't, but it's not an easy thing to do. And when you do get there and you win it, you want to celebrate it. And that's what we're doing here this weekend, 25 years of Gopher women's hockey. This is actually 26 years, but last year we weren't able to do it just because of different restrictions. And then we're also honoring our 2012 and 2013 teams, as you mentioned. We're 11 years and 10 years out from those two national championship teams. So should be a great weekend on Saturday to just honor all of Gopher women's hockey, but in particular those two teams as well.
Yeah, those two teams, what stands out to you about those two?
Well, the first one, 2012, that was my first national championship as a head coach. I had been a part of the ones in 04 and 05. I had taken over in 07, 08. And so, we had a little bit of a, kind of a 7-year drought, so to speak. And so I think anytime when it's your first one, it's pretty special. It was up in Duluth. We ended up beating Wisconsin in the championship game, who had kind of been on a run of national championships prior to that. And man, it was just so fun. I mean, just to see the players and their celebration and, reaching a goal and fulfilling a goal that they've had their entire lives. And the 20, I think we won the last 10 games in 2012. Then we go into 2013, get on a run, and end up going 41-0. And
it's crazy.
In that one, which still hasn't. I was going to say hasn't been close to being touched, but in 2016. Boston College was 40-0 before we beat them in the national championship game. So that team has gotten close, but just seeing the pressure build, the excitement build as we were going through that season, the media coverage was awesome, and our players just handled it extremely well. The Frozen Four that year, if you remember, was at Ritter. Mm-hmm. We ended up getting North Dakota for the 6th time in the quarterfinals after just beating them 2-0 the week before. And going to triple overtime just to get to the Frozen Four. And that was probably the craziest game I've ever been a part of. 3 overtimes and almost going to a 4th. And, Ritter was already sold out for the following weekend for the Frozen Four, so the pressure to get there was immense. And fortunately, our team was able to get there, go to overtime against Boston College in the semis, and then beat BU in the finals. So pretty special team. And then win some more games to start the following year and get up to 62 games without a tie or a loss.
It's really remarkable. I mean, just something. I think like there'd just be some dumb hockey. You get a dumb bounce, or a goalie is sick and is playing through something, but you guys went 60 plus in a row.
Yeah, it's still, as you look back, it's just amazing. You don't really think about that's even possible in the game of hockey. So pretty special. Few years there.
I remember when you won the first one in 2012, we were out in New York City. The Gopher men's basketball team was in the NIT, and I remember Joel Maturi was just so thrilled. It's probably as happy as I've seen him over the course of time, and there were good things to celebrate over the course. But he came. I can't remember exactly the timeline. I'm assuming he was at the championship game.
Yeah,
and
he was with us.
Then he came out to watch the basketball team, and he was just so happy. I mean, he just had this big grin on his face, and it was pretty cool. I remember that was just a big thing for him to watch you and the team win.
No doubt, and to be a program that's won 7 national championships here, and it's crazy to think back just how fortunate and blessed we are, but a lot of hard work and effort goes into that too.
We mentioned, you said there were some ups and downs. I don't want to reopen the wound, but the year you guys got left out a couple years ago, that probably changed some things in terms of how the tournament's structured now. Is it up to 11?
Yeah, so they moved it up to 11, and it just so we had been talking as a coaching body about how can we, with the NCAA, how can we increase the size of our championship? We were at 4 when things started in the early 2000s, and then we went to 8. There's now another league out east with 6 more teams, and fortunately, women's hockey and programs just continue to grow, and so with 5 conferences and those conference tournaments, those champions each receiving an automatic bid, all of a sudden there was going to be more than half of the field with automatic bids. And in the NCAA rulebook, it talks about how you can't have more than 50%. So we had asked for 12. They got us to 11. And so things, I think last year was the first year that happened. So I don't think it necessarily had to do with us getting left out. That year was crazy. It was the COVID year. Some of the teams out east in the Ivies weren't playing because of Big Ten testing protocol versus other teams in the WCHA. Our schedule was wonky. We played Wisconsin and Ohio State 13 times.
Nuts.
Duluth ended up playing the other teams in our league, the D2 schools in our league, 15 times. We went 2-0 against Duluth. Somehow they made it in and we didn't, and that was just a huge disappointment. But it's what it is, and we moved past it. Really used that as motivation for last year and making the tournament, and unfortunately losing to Duluth there. But we had a great year last year, and we're looking to do some great things again here this year. If you could wave a magic wand, what do you think the right number is for women's hockey for a postseason? Yeah, I think 12, just because it's really weird to have an 11-team tournament, So the way that they've done it is, 4 and 5 will play off, but at the 3 other sites, there's 3 teams. And, so you look at last year, for example, Duluth played Harvard on a Thursday night, won handily, got some great momentum. 2 days later, they face off against us. If we were able to play 2 days earlier, might that have helped us for that game? You never know. So, anyways, it's the men's tournament was 16. They have more teams, and the percentages are the same in regards to the number of teams in. So, we're really excited to be able to get to 11. Especially with that new league forming and the opportunity for more young women to get into a championship season. So the landscape of college athletics is changing across the board, whether it's women's hockey or football, and now TV contracts. And I'm wondering how much thought you've given, if any, to because everyone's like, oh, this windfall of money is going to start coming to all these schools. And what does that potentially mean for the growth of hockey, and with name, image, and likeness and all this stuff? How do you see the future? Do you think this is a time for expansion for women's hockey? There's more and more girls playing it, obviously, across the country. I would hope so, but I'm not sure. Right? You think of in the Big Ten alone, Michigan State. Everybody's been waiting for a couple decades for them to get going, and let's be frank, women's hockey isn't making money. And so it costs a lot of money to start a women's hockey program, just like most programs. 18 scholarships and the travel and the equipment, and hockey sticks aren't cheap these days. And so it would be great if more programs would start up, but there really has to be a financial commitment from universities to do that. Well, the Big Ten schools in particular are getting a lot of money from that TV contract. I'm sure everybody has their own places that those dollars are going to go to. For us with the Athletes Village, from the COVID loan to now the Alston or Champions for Life money that student athletes can receive. So I think the college landscape is changing at an incredible rate, and we've already seen that over the last few years. And it's going to be really interesting to see where it is in a few more. In the back of your mind, do you have a fear that it could potentially shrink too, because the cost of other stuff continues to rise? That's certainly a concern, and I think with this Champions for Life money as well. Some schools are able to afford it, others are not. That's why I really like actually name, image, and likeness, because it's not coming from the athletic department's budgets. If players and athletes want to receive more money and put the work in to do that, then they can. And we have some players that are very involved in it, and others that are like, I'm good. And so it at least provides an opportunity for those who want it. Yeah, I was wondering how successful, or how many of the players on your team maybe have a chance, whether it's a big number or a small number, that they can maybe take advantage of it, because hockey, you're in the epicenter of where hockey's pretty popular. Yeah, and I think most of them are doing small little things with restaurants here in Dinkytown or whatever, so that they can receive a free, 5 free lunches or something or whatever. And I see them posting all the time and ask them about it. But nobody's bringing in a lot of money like Paige Beckers or Gable Stevenson or some of those athletes. But there's opportunities there for them, and if they want to take them, and I think that's a good thing.
You have St. Cloud State this weekend. You mentioned it's a road game Friday, and then the home game with all of the festivities. What do the Huskies bring to the ice? What are you looking for from them this weekend?
Yeah, new coach Brian Adolski. If the hockey people will know that name. He was up at North Dakota and turned that program around before they folded their program, unfortunately. In the meantime, he's been coaching in China. He was Nora Ratu's coach, playing over in China and in Russia a little bit. And then he was most recently the Chinese Olympic coach. And now is back in the WCHA, and somebody that knows our league very well. And is a great hockey coach. He also just hired Mira Yaloshua, our former Finnish defenseman, who's been at Stillwater High School for a number of years, and so they're a very passionate team. They play extremely hard. They've got great goaltending. They have a couple European players who are pretty special. Last week they lost handily to Wisconsin night 1, 5-0, and then the next night. They were up 2-0 in the second period, 2-1 with a minute to go, and Wisconsin tied it up and then beat them in overtime. So you look at our league, and in particular the second game, adjustments are made. And there's no surprises, and those games are usually extremely tight, and so they're a team to watch for. They continue to get better here under him, and I think they will over the next couple of years as well.
And then Saturday, what's the agenda look like for folks that want to come and watch, and the different things that will all be going on?
Yeah, we're looking to have a ceremonial puck drop on Saturday. Again, it's our 25-year anniversary celebration, and then in between periods we'll honor the 2012 team and 2013 championship teams as well. So it's just a great opportunity to come out and see some alumni maybe that you kind of grew up watching or were cheering for, and a lot of players are coming back, so it should be really neat.
I think fans too are maybe more comfortable now coming out. Hopefully, it's a tough time of year, right? Because there's so much going on. You got football, hockey starts so early. You guys have the longest season in the history of organized sports, I think. But that said, hopefully people are now a little more comfortable, right? Coming out to a crowd and just getting back out and cheering, and can get back to getting really good crowds at Ritter, right?
Yeah, we would love that. I mean, October we usually struggle with crowd size just because people aren't thinking hockey necessarily. Yeah. But obviously a big weekend for the men coming up with North Dakota, and a big weekend for us. And we've scheduled our games so that fans can come and go to both. And,
great,
so,
right? Yeah.
2:00 on Saturday, we'd love to fill Ritter. And again, I still think it's one of the best products in town for $7-8 or $5 if you're bringing a child. And so we need these players deserve to be seen. And like I said, it's probably one of the best teams that we've ever had.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Let me get a quick mention in here, then I got 2 more questions, and we'll let you get on your way. We want to thank Affinity Plus. They're a sponsor of our podcast here. They're a local credit union, proudly serving Minnesota since 1930. If you're a current Gopher student or a proud Gopher alum, that makes you eligible to join this financial that wants to build a meaningful banking relationship and put you first. You can meet with a local employee at any of the branches statewide. There's one right here near campus on University as well. To learn more or to find another way to connect, go to affinityplus.org/go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/go Gophers. Affinity Plus, Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Last two questions for you. So the WCHA, you mentioned all these teams ranked at the top. What'd you say? 4 out of the 5 top 5 are from the league. So how's this unfold? I mean, this is a challenge each week, right? And then you got the teams like St. Cloud that are kind of pecking at trying to get into that mix, and others, I suppose.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you look at look at Mankato, who we played last weekend. They had played Duluth and Ohio State the weekends before. They were up 4-2 on Ohio State with 7 minutes to go. Unfortunately, let that one go. They took Duluth to overtime. You see St. Cloud taking Wisconsin to overtime, and so there's just no easy games, and the goaltending is too good, the coaching is too good, and there's a lot of pride on the line too. For these teams, they don't want to get blown out. They want to, in particular for us, they want to beat the Gophers. Majority of the players in the WCHA are from Minnesota, and so, there's some personal things there, and have grown up with a lot of our players as well. And then those top 4 teams, us, Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Duluth, just incredibly talented, very well coached, good teams. And so, how it shakes out, nobody knows. It was similar last year, and we won the WCHA conference championship, which was a big deal because I think it's one of the hardest conference championships to win. And so, we'll approach every weekend as we do. We want to play to our standard and play to the way that we know we can, and regardless of our opponent, and see where it goes.
You mentioned, last question for you, mentioned earlier about the importance of goaltending, really all season, but playoff hockey as well. You had a unique situation last year, and I'll be honest, I haven't followed it closely enough just yet. As you mentioned, October, there's a lot of stuff going on. How's your situation in net? How comfortable are you, and how does it unfold for you?
Yeah, really excited about. We have 3 goaltenders. 2 are competing right now for that starting spot. Michaela Paul, who's a senior, and Skylar Vetter, who's a sophomore, and so as we told them, they're both going to get opportunities here, and we'll let that play out as it goes. But there's no doubt that at the end, you better have the goaltending, and we feel pretty confident about that.
Very good. Hey, great to see you.
You too.
Sorry it took 41 episodes.
That's okay. I forgive you.
We'll have you back, let's say at least before 55.
You think so?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. Well, that would be, we do 1 a week, so better be before then even. Yeah, we'll have you back before then.
Sounds good, Mike.
Sounds
Thanks.
good. Good to see you. Thank you. He is Brad Frost. It's episode 41. My thanks to the great Brad Frost, Gopher women's hockey coach. Also a big thank you to Gopher safety Tyler Nubin, talking Gopher hockey and football here on the Go Gopher Podcast, episode number 41. The Go Gopher Podcast is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. We're also proud to be supported by Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, your local credit union throughout the state of Minnesota. And we're also sponsored by State Farm agent Tony Hoagland, a big Gopher football and hockey fan. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and please be sure to click the subscribe button right now of the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to listen at any time. And please share the link on your social media channels so others can listen as well. We'll talk again next week.